Hi, in the name of Christ, how you doing? Ke Karabo, it's your girl Crank Hey. I hope you're good, I hope you're peachy, I hope you're stellar, and I hope you're in a neat little bunch. If you're not, it's alright. You don't really have to be in a neat bunch, you don't have to be all together alright, because really, who is? Okay, wait again. Yeah, okay, let me just put some caveats out there before I start to talk, okay? What's the point even? This entire video will highly unlikely have the captions because I'm largely going to speak in my own languages, so I don't really need to put it out there that my captions are going to be inaccurate. Not today. If you speak English, I apologize. Tomorrow I'll be right back to English again, so please tune in then. Come back tomorrow or watch my other videos that are largely in English. In my languages largely because I'm speaking to black people. But I will put this caveat out there. I very potentially might be wearing application makeup. If I am, you will know because it's going to be bouncing off my face up and down. I'm not shape-shifting app. Okay, another thing. Singas kibuwa le bodaki. Kifilanga the song Gelona Fela. Lanze kibuwa le a lot of other people because he nikranshapening na maitseo. So let's just, get this out the way. I'm only human after all. I do this exercise in pinching my cheeks to blush them so that you can see that when you prick me, I bleed. Look at that. If you slap me, mara halina tabake cause le tau. Utlwelang batho ba bantsho itsekeng pelo ka bohloko. Pelo yaka e botlhoko. My heart is broken. Mara, it doesn't appear to matter cause haona motho o tshwatlehileng ho phala lona. Nobody in these streets is more broken than you. And mengzonzwela if menganzondi. So at this point ngifila ngathi yazini phumphele hamba nangandaba ngani ganshap ningayo bota cause akazi why ningavuke maqandeni. Amalungu maho abadula babua ka rona as batho ba sayiboneng because grandshap we keep on afflicting ourselves from the within sides or whatever, okay? And I'm like, I cannot have a mahwa areng grandshap because even if there was only one race in the world, wasana bodaki ile one race in Jeffel nto elilingyona, you would need to be called out, isolated in a society. Do you understand? You would need to be isolated in a society as just entirely unacceptable. If we as a human race were to grab pretty much all of us, put us in a pot, blend in that pot, then, right? Just blend, mix everything up so that we all come out one color. You who is a black person, even though now you've got white skin, or a blend, Indian skin, just some blend of everybody's skin, you would strangely still act like this because like a chichi boy. And so therefore, when society needs to now make rules about how to deal with certain people, putting them in categories, you would still get called out for lie nonsense if they were to blend all of you together in one big pot. If they were to blend you in a big fat chunky pot, you would come to discover that you would do the exact same thing. If at all you had the cultural history of being that person. Just by mere virtue of having grown up to a certain age, being black. Noma bangas mixisha, even if they were to mix us up now. And then there's just one skin tone across all of us because we've been mixed like paint. Just by mere virtue of what you used to be, you would likely continue to be that ridiculous. However, now because we are all the same race, you would unfortunately start slapping white people that are now just the same race as you. You would afflict Indian people that are now the same race as you. You would afflict colored people that are now the same race as you. You would afflict Puerto Rican, Spaniards, etc. You get my point. The thing you do, black people, to each other, as in, I get to lona, like even your occult magic, it's got a different edge and a twist. Ni extreme, I'm just trying to put it out there that you are freaking extreme. Like the things you do are extreme. Yini at deliverance ceremonies, sessions, whatever you want to call them. Enhlanza izinto. But people that wow, that makes them prepared to go by your gwenya in a demonic ritual. Yingani that makes you prepared to carry amatigolosh. Guys, come on, like ask Kulume, let's talk. Like everybody does witchcraft. I come from a church, Yamahoa Emmanuel Baptist in Florida, Nohona Le Coven operating Gada. A whole cult where they used to massacre bana inside the bellies of women so they could not have children. That was their little human sacrifice ritual ring going down. Mar, nearly gentrified witchcraft yabon. It somehow had body respect. Black people, the body is a temple. It's supposed to be a temple for the Holy Spirit. So and then the Lord speaks about fornication, sexual immorality, as this thing that is just a dishonor of one's own body. So nonsense. Yeah, God has a thing about just going out of your way. Going out of your way. He has a thing about that. It's so irrational. And in the black community, boloi balona yo bathong ga gona tlhompho for memele guys. Halena tlhompho for memele ya lona, so it is no wonder you expect gore batho ba bang ba ka ipha ba itatle fela baziphonse la emgaqweni into izinto ezimnyama that don't make sense ngoba nina you were prepared ukunikeza imizimba yenu for uSatane. Nisangene bantu abamnyama lahlanya likula in ways that literally nobody else is crazy in these streets. Lahlanya. And ntho enkutlisang botlhoko hape gore le expect that tlhompho, and tlhompho teng le batla high and low. You want it ngenkani. You are coercive ngenhlonipho enifunayo. Niko esa wonke umuntu la emgaqweni magoa abagona uphumola ke the way le demandang respect ka teng. Hana motho gona ngophumola. You insist on it. You are entitled to respect kodwa anizi hloniphi self. You have no self-control. You have no self-respect. Money by involved in the occult in izinto enizenzayo, they are so extreme, and the sad thing is azikho nje extreme kunina nje, just to you. They are extreme to your victims. Halena ho, and I get to be king kaluna that makes you like this. I thoroughly do not understand that makes you so prepared, willing. Ukuyozibhidlisa kabuhlungu kanje na umzimba wakho, imizimba yenu, your bodies, memele ya lona gore le tlo titlhorisa ga botlhoko ga kana ka ntho tse ditshila tse tshirianeng, gore le tlo titlhorisa ga botlhoko ga kana sebaka se se kakang nna ga ke tlhaloganye. I do not know what it's gonna take to get black people to realize ukuthi grandshab tweba lenja elileng yona. Everything comes to an end, okay guys? Every era in history where there have been pompous people, where people have been arrogant, yeah, that stuff has come to an end. Fulfilling God's word. It's written in his word that pride comes before a fall and humility comes before honor. So wherever there have been pompous generations of people, they get humiliated. Mahoa have been put in their place for arrogantly thinking they were the supreme race. Do not think ukuthi njengoba wena ufike ugovi stuff of that random rubbish of thinking yourself superior that nani anizobhidliswa. Right now you've got black privilege. Like you be out there giving white people grief for having white privilege. Just because you get to be born and just only set more life anything. That's what you say to white people. And you bullied them so much and for so long over their white privilege that now they are tiptoeing around you, scared to even say anything, lest they should be accused of being racist. So they've been made to shut down, to sit down and shut up. They've been made to relax. They've been made to basically minimize themselves because they saw they injected jet fuel into their heads and they became big. And so things are recalibrating. Well, they're coming down to earth. That's what I'm getting at. Entirely, Mara, they've definitely come down to earth. The world has shown them that you don't get to think you're the baddest in the game. And so, essentially, he who or she who prided themselves in their lofty disposition has been brought low. The scriptures have been fulfilled. If you exalt yourself, you will be humbled. And if you humble yourself, you will be exalted. So, what makes you think black people seeing as you're the next black supremacy? Like proper, you're the next animals on the planet. You're the next flagrant beasts on the planet. You're the ones that are like King Kong, out here chilling on a mountaintop pinnacled, bashing your chest, cause with my black skin. Do you know you're so arrogant? We're gonna have a conversation. The other day I got sent a what do you call this, like a link on WhatsApp by a person that contacted me through my ministry and whatnot. I got a link on WhatsApp about it was a white man, about some cult that is doing the rounds. These things did in America, they start in America. It's just the rubbish of the US, and Jeff all over our show. It's like sniffy up a nose. It's actually making everybody sneeze. Anyway, whatever. There is a whole cult apparently doing its rounds to a point where there now needs to be apologists raised up against it in the US. And of course, because you know how everything America, it's probably going to make its way into Africa. It's going to make its way everywhere else where there are black people. Yeah, and this cult basically is about black skin worship. Black skin worship, where it is that apparently allegedly we're great, we're mighty, we're awesome because we're black. Yeah, but as soon as you got set free from slavery, you then saw it fit to basically enslave wonke else. You saw it fit to go and enslave everybody else. Yeah. That's what's good. You were like, I'm previously disadvantaged, so now I'm gonna be the pohofolo of the century. I'm gonna now be the person for the next 400 years that's gonna make everybody's life a living freaking nightmare. That's what decision you decided to make. Like, you overcome your sorrow, you get out of the dingy darkness that you were endured through, and then you decide to endure the whole damn planet to your insanity. And because of the fact that you were previously disadvantaged, it's a lot harder to put you in your place than what under heaven it was under white supremacy, with white people thinking they're the baddest in the game. They've arrived with them thinking they are the Nzwembu-fied ones of the day. It was a lot easier for everybody to finally complain against them because all this time Nzebali mean. Yeah, Nzebana important. But when you come from a history of abuse, it just makes it that much harder to deal with your rubbish like Pumakon. It makes it that much harder. How can I describe it? It's like some kid that comes from an abusive background. Everybody was out just scratching their eyeballs out. Nadula tumpwaken tatwateng every day. Maybe she was being raped. That's what's good. And she was being beaten. And now she's been taken out of that environment. And she's in a new school and she's growing up. The environment is healthier. They have sensitivity towards the fact that she comes from an abusive background. But based on Indabeoguchi, she comes from an abusive background. She then makes a decision to be a flagrant delinquent. She makes a decision to be a flagrant derelict. She makes a decision that literally, I don't know if you've seen, if you know that song from back in the day. It's my party, and I cry if I want to, cry if I want to, cry if I want to. You would cry too if it happened to you. Da 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 da. You know that song? Yeah, that child then makes a decision to make like that party girl, to cry and ruin everybody's day because birthday yak. That is what it is that you are, black people. Lomtana Lona, now because of the fact that she was historically raped, historically beaten, historically mistreated by her parents, that she was taken away from, and now she's in another adoptive family's care, she then makes that adoptive family the bane. She makes herself the bane of the existence of that adoptive family. Everything they try to do, Lomtana Lona, just does not want to act right, and every single time the parents raise it, the new parents, the adoptive parents raise the delinquent behavior, the miscreant behavior, the disrespectful behavior of this girl. She then starts to basically raise the fact that, oh, I was raped and you are basically not understanding. I used to get beaten up by my dad every day and you like understand. Whoa, okay, so that's the reason why you decided to go and defecate on our sheets and then take those feces and spread them across the wall. That you did that because you were abused. So I must just, as the mother of the house, take that bed linen, put it in the washing machine and wipe down those walls, maybe even repaint, completely take out carpets, rip them out, put new ones in, because those things won't get out from the wall-to-wall carpet. And I had to just keep doing that because you were raped by your dad at first, because you were slapped by your mom at first, because your biological parents aren't giving you grief. You now are gonna give your adoptive parents more grief. You know what? Pumpele and Janduwe, go to another adoptive family that's gonna take you smearing feces on my wall on their walls in their stride, because what you are is rubbish. I'm trying to give you an understanding, but what are the days going to eventually arrive when people are going to say, I'm not going to take your crap anymore. And frankly, the world has gotten there. The world is slowly but surely getting to a point where they are raising in Dabayoguti. We get it's your birthday. We get that the candles are here for you to blow out. We understand. but you don't get to disrespect wonke umuntu that is out here trying to have your back. We understand where you come from. We know and we are sensitive towards the fact that you are previously disadvantaged and you were treated like trash at some point in life. But you don't get to treat everybody else like trash. You don't get to, long story short, create a freaking black supremacy, you idiots. You don't get to do that. You don't get to fight fire with fire. You don't get to smack evil with evil. You don't get to repay evil with evil. You don't get to be regarded by God as previously disadvantaged and so in dire need of recompense. However, you are now trying to disadvantage the new era that you are walking in, the new space that you are walking in. Even Christ himself said in the word, do not repay evil for evil. So when you go out of your way to try and punish literally the whole damn planet for what it is that you endured, now that you've been set free, at some point the whole world is gonna rise up and be like, yazen rubbish nduwe. I don't care that you're black. I don't care that you've got systematic oppression for a problem. I don't care that your mama done struggled being a domestic worker all throughout her youth when she was taking you through school. And I don't care that you grew up in them kuku. Because at this point, watella. Because at this point, you're freaking disrespectful. So get out. The day's coming when that's gonna happen, black people. And when black people, other black people, start to raise that as an issue, then you need to understand what it says figileda. When your entitlement has made you these arrogant, pompous things that must be worshipped everywhere you go. Bese inyongo yenu ikhipwa ngabanye abantu abamnyama nabo bakhathele indaba yokuthi u-entitled, awuna respect, awuna nhlonipho, awuzihloniphi self. That's when you need to know that this thing has come to an end. Black folk, just the fact that I'm raising this as an issue, just the fact that there are any black people at all that are calling you out for whatever rubbish you are, evidences that you are already at the end of your reign of terror. Do you understand what I'm saying? Same figile manje, we had compassion, people had compassion on us, indeed, over the fact that sizwe buhlungu, they hurt us, they afflicted us, they segregated us. But now you're just hella disrespectful. Top of that, you're destructive. And then your destruction is inside abanye abantu abamnyama manje. And so thina abanye sizovuka, we're gonna raise from the woodworks. And we are going to say, I'm sorry. But like, Mahowa, you have a right to call a spade now. It's about time. Indian people got a right to call a spade now. It's about time. Everybody else that's been making this observation, it's about time they raised it. Because if they don't raise, indaba yokuthi thina siyabulalana galula nje, and then left to keep on killing each other. If nobody else other than black people raise it, sizo re tlo nentse re tlhokafala. In other words, safa sapheli sizo simnyama ngempela. You would think ukuthi safa sapheli sizo simnyama was an apartheid song, but like it appears we are still dying, but this time around within ourselves. Rabulayana. And it's not like what it is that we're doing. Can't nobody make an observation of it. They can see it, but remember, everybody's tiptoeing around you. Everybody is tiptoeing around you. So that whole black supremacy thing that's rising up out of the woodworks now, with churches even going out of their way to do black skin worship, guess who else did that once upon a time? Yeah, white people. Yes, white supremacy, in order to justify their superior complex, their delusions of grandeur, in order to justify them, they thoroughly managed to find it in the word of God that they were God's chosen people. They literally found it in God's word. They used the scriptures to justify their discrimination against everybody else. They did. They enslaved us because they believed that they were God's supreme Reich. Been doing it for a minute. They went and they twisted God's scripture out of context and said, figile. And then black folk were like, oh, goodness gracious, guys, I don't see that in the Bible. We worshipped God all throughout all our various systematic oppressions across the countries that we were living in, whatever might have been the version of it, wherever you live. We went through watching white people literally use our word of God that has been given all of us to worship Him in spirit and in truth to justify why they were treating us so terribly. They thoroughly went and grabbed this book and explained to us why we deserved to be their slaves, why we deserved to be segregated from them under Group Areas Act. They used ilizwi laga somandla. History repeats itself. Those people who don't educate themselves in it are doomed to repeat it. And the human heart being deceitful above all things and desperately wicked, here it is that now we've got all of these blacks out here doing the same thing that white people did back then, and you expect ukuthi nawe awuzokhahlelwa nje like a canister down the road ngoba ubolile. Njengoma sikhahleli white supremacy down the road like a can, none in your khahlelwa ever. It's coming. It's inevitable. Ain't no pompous rando ever ran around in these streets without being handled ultimately. It might take a little bit longer for you to get handled, black people. Why? Because wonke umuntu is scared to confront you. Because litawe, and on top of that, you're violent and you're entitled and you are proliferating crap in the streets. having had a history of abuse. That's the reason why abantu bansaba kangaka. Kodwa, you are literally brewing from the ground, manufacturing from the ground up. Black supremacy. And your black supremacy has made basically any intervention that can ever be staged on behalf of a black person suffering under black people a near on impossible feat. You've made everybody hella scared of my case cause and yet mina angwazi, I can't. I'm telling you, the thing you are, I need to be rescued from it. I need to be rescued from it. Kodwa abantu bayasaba ukungithinta engathi I've become a leper overnight. Ngoba you are so freaking dangerous that people would much rather watch me die, wag their heads in sorrow, and be like, what else were we gonna do than jump or dive into a black mob to try and rescue a black person. You have endured the black community to rescuelessness. Ngoba nisangene nonke manhlangene letawe litsubila ke tsebiking ya Satane ing halhanela di maitsewa halena di ho halena di break nivele nizi tele nizi ponce la emgaqweni niyenza all different kinds of izinto ezibolile that people can see ukuthi zibolile kodwa akunamuntu that are calling you out for what you're doing. Why? Because wonke umuntu usaba umuntu omnyama, wonke umuntu uyansaba ngoba nina ngamabhova akere la gwajisa mole yangteng. You know how to tell them where to get off in a way that you never used to back in the day. So aguna muntu owazi ukuncorrecta. That's the problem. So manje wonke umuntu that's under your tyranny, under your stupid ass stamps, kwamele manje ayoshona under into eniyo nina ngoba nobody is brave enough to come and do a better thing by a black person, because black people are like an angry mob that is frankly homicidal, and in the absence of a black person rescuing themselves from black people, nobody else is coming for them. And what I've been trying to do the past decade is get myself from under the clutch of this brazen mob ebolile, while everybody else has just stood back. Ngoba, like I said, you're dangerous. You are like a magenza on the corner of a street ebusuku. Don't you dare go there. Uzobuya urepiwe. Uzojackrolla sisters. Uska foster velo emele useng letsatsi lelo chaba hape, because right now njengoma litiketse ashem utlole man le makenza go khoneng, you are full of intimidation. Wonke umuntu yansaba ba avoid isit khona siyeno abantu they don't confront you. They just don't want to be politically it's not worth it. You understand what I'm saying? Even if they were to raise it and actually get heard, it's not worth it to go through the fight of the black mob, like just to have to go through those waters of Ugubaluisa and ultimately get proven right on the other side. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. So a lot of people would much rather just maintain their peace than deal with you. And it's a sad and uncomfortable thing to have to confess that, because since I am as exhausted as I am, Ngani, it's only a matter of time, given that I'm black, before everybody else is finally candid with what rubbish you are. It's only a matter of time. We get you were abused as a kid, but goodness, don't you rock up in my house and throw my furniture all over the show, because then we're gonna have some problems. Then you're gonna go back to where you come from. You don't get to act like some miscreant, some derelict, some juvie that is unrehabilitable and expect to maintain respect in a society that is giving it to you out of the benefit of the doubt, not because you've earned it. Not because you've earned it. They've just awarded it to you out of giving you the benefit of the doubt, because after all, historically, nobody was giving you the benefit of the doubt. Now people are giving you the benefit of the doubt, and you are showing them flames. Flames. Not only is there black skin worship now in churches, but there are entire sects, cults, raised up from the ground by black people, believing that they're God's chosen people, like the black Hebrew Israelites. Just went and grabbed God's promise from the Jews in jail and said, it's us. And there's nothing you can tell them. And one such black Hebrew Israelite is actively trying to kill me right now, some animal from America. I've been telling you guys about that. Just based on the belief that you are superior in comparison to other people. Based, again, on your historical sorrow. You then think you can harass anybody and nobody will do anything to you. He was set free out of prison. He's trying to kill me, despite not finishing his term thanks to COVID-19. Hard knock voodoo practitioner that America is just letting to fly like a bird, because after all, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And that same random rubbish mindset, after all, America, it's here in South Africa, where black folk feel just as entitled as that little buffoon for my death. I got to not at your hands, but you must understand, okay, that God is slow to anger and abounding in steadfast love, and he doesn't want people to perish, but that they should come to him. So even how long-suffering God is over all of y'all is for the very sake or purpose of not humiliating you as an entire race. If I were to get my life back, let's say it's a better thing, you're just going to look stupid. You are going to look abusive, dastardly. You are going to look incontinent and impetuous. And you see, God has mercy on the fact that that's what you were literally accused of being once upon a time. You were accused of being unreasonable, incontinent, untalented, violent, abusive, unintelligent, slow, lazy. If you're a black person, you have a history of not being taken seriously, even if you're like the biggest genius in the game. That's what I'm getting at. And seeing as the Lord is aware of the fact that black people have a history of being wrongfully accused of things they have not done, he does not want to let you now be provably what you were accused of being. Yet, as soon as you acquired redemption from your former slavery, you literally made a decision to walk in a lockstep with stereotypes about you. It's like you were hardworking like dogs back when they were calling you lazy. It's like you were ingenious back when they were ignoring your ideas. It's like you were loving husbands back when they were calling you abusive. It's like you were doting wives back when they were calling you whores. It's like, you get my point. And now that you've been set free from those stereotypes, you are the whores women, and men, you are the abusive randos. You're violent, you're treacherous, you are lazy, because you are literally gathering dust, doing nothing, and yet expecting respect. And on top of that, you are entitled. And even though people in your community are gifted and genius, you are burying them. So even though you ought to be given credit for some brilliant idea, you can't be given it, because the brilliant among you, you are hiding like me. Every iota of accusation that you were slapped with, you are literally walking in lockstep with it now. Back then, it was an accusation. Back then, it was wrong. It was false witness against you. It was reviling. It was a comprehensive disregard of who you are and what you can offer as a person. And now that you've been given a stage to basically tap dance, black person, show us what you can do, you're showing them what you were accused you could do. And with that being a thing, the level of human turnover in the black community is astronomical. People, the death toll in the black community because of black defeatism is ridiculous. The crushing of souls, the sabotage of black people by black people. The sabotage of black people by black people. And then you little bull beasts have the brazen audacity to cry and complain that you're not being awarded opportunities. How long exactly do you expect the South African government to maintain black economic empowerment? How long? How long exactly must employment equity laws continue to favor you disproportionately above white folk, and so on and so forth? How long must you be given the number one position automatically without earning it? When your kids, a lot of them were even born free. They don't know anything about suffering. You are making sure that you are staying so poor, largely, many of you, that the government of the country cannot possibly lift EE laws because apparently we have not been retributed or recalibrated, when this could have happened long ago insofar as the opportunities that were awarded to black people as soon as the oppressive regime was ended were exercised. But you see, herein lies one black person entering the market and making sure that 20 others don't get anywhere. I'm sorry, like, nah, wait, I hate you. I freaking hate you with like a purple passion. I hate you. I do not understand what you're doing. You get inside corporate South Africa. You grew up in a shack, Mkukwini. Your mother used to sell amakip. Your dad used to hustle, tiling matlu, chilling outside Builder's Warehouse, looking for a piece job. Took you to school. You never got to go to the Hawamwam Model C school where you spoke with that, twang. Nah, that was never you. You speak English, guy, that had no Soto accent, Zulu accent, Tswana accent. Cause when I how snob, how Model C, you matriculate cause you worked hard. You then get into corporate because you could not afford to go to college. You couldn't afford to go to university. Nobody was going to be out there paying those fees. Mara, you somehow managed to bank a call center agent job. Wakena, you succeed. Congratulations. Now that you're earning your own salary, you then decide to take yourself to school through UNISA. And so after a couple of years, you graduate, you get a degree, and then you start on a professional track where it is that now you have left the call center and you are a business analyst or you're a project manager. And then you just go from strength to strength, right? Now that you are a BA in corporate South Africa, a business analyst, bese decide, sisters, ukuthi uyothatha omunye umuntu omnyama istory sakhe awusazi from a bar of soap uyambona nje acute upretty wonke guys umuntu ka ufela wa tlhatswega a ke re la tseba gore batho ba ntse ba jwang le ha ba ntse ba kopa di 200 ko di robotong ba rekisa dipopoki ba bantle hampe ba shine ka vaseline umuntu omnyama angeke ubona inhlupheko yakhe ebusweni awuzoyibona. We know how to wear poverty well. Mrwa rona udula o shine go sena chelete go sena go jwa kota fela or papa le nama king papa le bese fela. Your hair will look as if though you are just getting all your nutrients in, that you keep on doing moringa treatments. That's how it is that we are black people. Ha setse o phatsi maka vaseline ona mothotlo tsebang gore o dula mokhukhu o magezele mpompi na ona mothotlo tsebang gore o tlhapela ka fa gara skotlolo. Nobody's gonna know. That's the thing about the black person, because re tswa tshotlegong ha re sotlegile ga go bonagale. And that's why sometimes abantu bayas underestimate. That's why sometimes amalunga phumagit. That's why sometimes kunzima to feel sorry for Tina when we are begging emarobotini why ngoba abantu bakhona noma bancenga imali basidudla. That's black people for you. Somehow we hustle, we grind, we manage to also look normal, look rashina. Le khwa le nchelete, le kopang chelete mo ko robotong o tla khutlusa botlhoko because batho ngwa bonahala hore o tlhopegile moriri o out of whack, skin out of whack, the sun red, they become super duper red on the face. Baba red most fatlego. You can tell or monto sutlegile. Like something just gets drained out of my ho. Ha ba sutlegile. To a point where o tla bona tsotlego most fatlego mara monto ga bonagale. So Jwanong ha ngwana o montsha a qala o sebetsa o nang le 19 go Kaboloi South Africa. O leng montle hampe a le mopila, pretty girl, dimples, everything. Wait taking mragage o montle. This chick, she's pretty. You might think ukuthi lo is snob nje angazongibor. Bese when you decide ukuthi uyothagatha that poor unfortunate snob, only for you to discover ukuthi lo muntu lona uvuka on a sponge in the morning urobala mofatse le di siblings tsa hae tse 4 just to go to that call center job. And o tlhapile mo hara skotlolo a ba itshasa dono le yona vaseline ya teng le dark and lovely hair food ya teng that she goes through very sparingly with all of her siblings in order for her to look all that clean. O apere that cheap perfume that you find God leaks it this camo. It's not even perfume, ke spray deodorant, ke aerosol, ke pears or ego or whatever. And she's also sharing it with like 4 siblings. So she smells decent. Unga sepa. That's what's good. Sepa of which also lesona si cheap. O tsogile mo sponching mo fatshe le di siblings tse 3. Badula ko forumo le batswadi. And they gotta share that one room and the other room ke mme le ntate. Motho a teng o na le ko matric last year. Somehow managed to grind, strive, watola, interview to a call center. Wangen. She's working at MTM, but she's pretty like no man's business. She's pretty like the Ebatung. There was actually a show in South Africa of that nature. I forgot. Nele uzalo oring. No Fistozi ke Romeo and Juliet, but you get my point. There was some chick there that she was just gorgeous. She was beautiful. In the show was Mbali and Unadula Kentedi weave that looked like they were real Brazilian hair or whatever. Makeup, face beat from here to Timbuktu. They were showing the reality of South Africa and the reality of black people. In the club, she be looking like she comes from a home in Santon. Even though she's got that sleek weave with just lane and everything. Live face beat and that can give you a run for your money. Face beat of which has been done what would be called pharmaceutical or drugstore makeup. Cheap from section at Disque Metal Rekisang Foundation A1 for 15 rand. Cheap makeup. Nothing hectic, nothing extreme. Sometimes we talk about Chinatown, etc. Or go downtown Joburg. Mobile Rekisang, di pelleting and nobody understands or Reki factory is wrong. Yamufudamang. Eto Rekisang, a little lipstick 5 rand. Mototeng o reka jwalo makeup. Mototeng o reka jwalo di perfume. O reka di perfume go di Chinatown with these guys ba go borang. Oh, see my sister smell this, it smells nice. And you can't tell the difference between that perfume, it's cheap, alongside a Chanel Allure. Someone that actually can afford to buy a Chanel perfume. Can't tell the difference because most people can't. Whether or not you want to believe you've got expensive taste, a lot of people can't tell the difference between expensive perfume and cheap perfume. So umuntu that smells, basically whose perfume lingers and that smells good. You could think gormotona le chelete. Especially ga itshwere ai pupile, ai tshwere hantle. I am ha dutse ka posture ngwana batho. O lashapile for because muhle omunye mntana, you are going to sit there gnashing your ugly stupid teeth that have got like fangs. Ngoba wena we that vampire. O shebile cherry entwembu emupila gampe. Ebe wena tlo decide go lo add insult into injury. How much guys wait again, we're gonna have a discussion. I do not know how many people cast spells on me when I was still working go MTN based on Tabaro. They believed I had a silver spoon in my mouth. They believed I was a rich kid. They believed I was an immovable snob. And they believed that if at all I were to be pushed off a cliff, somebody will obviously catch me. There will obviously be some structure down below that is cushy and soft that's going to catch me. And yet they did not know that I had the kind of family that I had. They had no clue that MTN, the wing finger corner, it was a feat, a hell of a dingy, hard knock journey to get myself there. Because Mingfuna Namupuma out of a grain. Mingfuna Opuma out of typicalities. I did not want to be stranded in an environment that lacked support for me and my future and where it is that I was going. I was expected to also be, thanks to being, I went to a school, a mixed school. So I got to acquire itwenya kona, ihwam, her. That's what's good. And just based on my English accent alone, I was considered to be umuntu that was fluffy, weak, isnob sasesanten, that we can afford to just toss around because somebody will always be there to catch her. One guy, every time he saw me, would not say hi Karabo, he'd be like, hello Karabo. Abitsa libizo like English twang. Karabo. Like saying that you're Lerato instead of Lerato. He would call me Karabo because he just imagined I was this like super duper snob. And so that was enough for a whole bunch of people to gather against me and afflict the crap out of my life because Kiwaga twang. And I sound more like a Karabo than a Karabo. How to me story samut? You don't know, Uguti, I paid my own fees. I took myself to school. Nami, I went through some waters. You don't know me, you don't know my story. And yet you made a decision to put a silver spoon that was never in my mouth there and yanked it out. So an invisible silver spoon that was yanked out of my mouth with my teeth and everything flying all over the show. And now today the same dastardly individuals are looking at me on some, but like I didn't know that this was what she was going through. Because what justifies you doing that to anyone? Even Lomuntu, a silver spoon, does not deserve just like that. Noma atholelwe umsebenzi wakhona ngama connections kababa. You don't get to pull the rug from underneath their feet. It's just wrong. It's just wrong. Kodwa abantu abamnyama niyenza ukuthi nyakhohle ukuthi Vaseline siyenzelani. You forget uri Vaseline iri etsetsang mo sefatlhego. La lebala. Uri Dawn e phatsimisa dirope tsa rona ga kakang. La lebala. Uri cheap toothpaste uri etsa meno a rona ora be white ga kakang. La lebala. Uri cheap hair products make morobotso wa rona cute jwang. La lebala. Uri cheap makeup makes our face beats look expensive ingati we are a model ya L'Oreal or something. You guys know how it is that black people hustle. They put money together in a way that is miraculous, and umuntu ohluphekile umuntu omnyama angeke wazi ukuthi uhluphekile unless ublome emkhukhwini ahlezi next to umkhukhu wakhe. Then you'll know okay utluphekile. Mara ha ka kopana lena ko shopong ko molong ko Southgate, ha ka kopana lena ko Eastgate ko Sandton, ha ka kopana lena ko officing, ha o tlo tseba. You are not gonna know ukuthi umuntu phuma hwe. You're not gonna know. Ha o tlo tseba. Especially if bana le di twang hwam, especially if umupila o kept together, ungamonat ke motho wa di makeup, especially if she is a withdrawn woman o itholetseng. You will never know. You will never know motho o tlhapileng ko skotlolong versus one o tswileng showering in the black community. You will literally never know. You will never know when a black person is going through a lot versus not. We barely ever get dark circles when we're struggling. Inkat guys, go kgathala ga go bonagale mo matlhong a rona e bathong ke letlalo la rona le jwalo. Letlalo la rona le jwalo. Our skin is such that not even our dark circles show. Exhaustion, being drained just from life. Okay, say bone motho bontsho o bona gore what's the word that burned out? Cause o fentile go officing. Motho teng in the run up to never ocho. Never. Rarely ever can you look at umuntu omnyama ebusweni and be like you look tired. Asbonagali ke letlalo la rona le jwalo. It's dark. And so therefore everything just kind of blends into the background. If you have done science, physics at high school, you will be explained when you are studying the rainbow. Roig biff, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, the spectrum, essentially. You will be taught that black is an absorption of all colors, and it's not a color. And you will also be taught that white is not a color, but a reflection of all colors. Black is not a color, but an absorption of all colors, and white is not a color, but a reflection of all colors. And then you're told the primary colors, the secondary colors, etc., all that jazz. Well, black skin, by mere virtue of you being darker, brown, I guess, which is a mix of black and yellow with a little bit of red, is what it is. That black is what do you call this? that our skin comes from. Brown is a mix of maybe like red and black and perhaps some shade of white or something. You get brown. It's like, varying and white, so that you can get like a cascading variance of shades of black. But just by mere virtue of the fact that the absorption of colors is used black in and of itself, red of which is then a primary color, then you add in white, which is a reflection of color, but a small amount of white, large amount of black, and a whole bunch of red in order to make this brown skin of ours. It says that largely anything that reflects on it, that basically hits our faces, is absorbed and so therefore hardly seen. When you put things on a black surface, brown, if you sprinkle brown or like sand, you get my point, whatever, on a black surface, you will struggle to get to every last particle because you will struggle to see every last one. But if you sprinkle the same brown dust on white paper, you will see the smallest little speck over there. So that is the reason why black people, when we are going through crap in life, it does not show, because we've got this black skin and all the dust that lands on our faces, don't nobody see it. It does not show. Dark circles don't evidence you as one who is tired. You might have them. You might have a collection of, it's not depigmentation, but discoloration. You might have discoloration on your face as a black person, but discoloration on our faces is not as stark and as evident as it is on white skin. So white folk, when they go through rubbish, you will see the poor thing, that your life is slapping her. When there's gray underneath her eyes because she hasn't been sleeping or whatever, you will see it more readily than you will see it on us, because white is a reflection of all colors. Their skin tone is a mixture of white, yellow, the primary color that we're talking about with white skin here is likely yellow and white and brown of which is also a mix of black and and red. So there are reds and browns in them, there are reds and blacks in them, but in lower concentration. More yellows, more whites is what it is that you get there. So when you sprinkle dust on there, it shows a lot more. They reflect it, so it is more evident, whereas we absorb sorrow. So y'all know how some of the most poverty-stricken, suffering black folk just don't show that they're going through a lot. Especially when we've put some Vaseline on our faces. And so why under heaven, when you know that about yourselves, when you know that the guy that is selling little cassette tapes and whatnot, that's struggling to eat, that's struggling to pay rent from umkuku nogal, why, when he looks like you, why, if you were to get out of your car and take his stash sack that he is selling car stamps on, car bumper stickers, if you were to take his car bumper sticker board that he's selling to you and sell it, you be the one now on the street selling that, and then he gets in your car and drives, people would not be able to see the difference. They won't say Lomuntu is misplaced. This is not the kind of person that looks like he would own a car. Nobody would be able to tell the difference, because niafana, only difference is that only one is selling bumper stickers while the other one just comes from a corporate job at the end of a hard day's work and is driving home. You know what, black people, I seriously don't understand why you are like this. I don't understand it. A lot of us, we started out in taxis. Do you understand? Our parents endured us through taxi. They Uber for what? Like this Gen Z generation, they have it easy. My little sister did taxi for what? For who? And she never ever got endured through taxi. But largely, when I grew up, all my girls, all of them were at one point or another, they would use public transportation. Some of us more than others. Parents would sometimes get amakumbi and everything. But whenever we wanted to meet, like on weekends, and dads were not dropping people off, take taxi, not even bus. And it takes taxi, sometimes you would have to go through Brie North. And you know what downtown Joburg is like? Downtown Joburg can be dirty, it is loud, it smells of urine a lot. Like, it's just this environment that's not very comfortable for a little snob. So how let's not sa little model C second skolo sa twang wham. You would hate your trekking through downtown Joburg, but you gotta do it because you gotta get home. When you live go Soweto, you live go Alberton, and your school is in the south of Johannesburg, you gotta go through it. It is what it is. Gibela ma taxi. Open up, and Emma taxi ni, Emma queuing at the queues, and also inside the taxis. There are all these people that, for the season of them commuting, public transport, are underestimated by everyone on a moto. And yet, they are underestimated by people who drive cars, like proper. It's ridiculous what happened in the black community. I don't like, I guess I had to be put in this position first before I realized just how classist black people are when they are the bottom of the rung in their emotional state. When a high school student is palamaring a taxi, you think, okay, fine, whatever. But as soon as the muntu amatriculate, gune pressure nje engaka, uthayo tholi moto, uthayo phuma ama taxi. Yes, why? Because ama taxi are very uncomfortable. I'm not gonna lie. There's all different kinds of nasty things. Abanye abantu bapemi pachi and they come in there and it's like, it's ridiculous. Ama taxi ayabor. Mara, some of the people that went through Lama Taxi Wakona today, I'm a CEO. Namhlanje, they are running entire businesses. They've got fleets of cars. The very same people that combat with you proper. They've got these things, but those who don't break out the grain, guys, how you gonna go underestimate them? How? Kyafana wonke umuntu lapha ugqoke idon, pears, wonke umuntu ugqoke pawns. Wonke umuntu uthasteka black dark and lovely, and wonke umuntu mega ukhomba, and they eat the same things, and bonke bathanda amakota, bonke bathanda ama slab chips, di acha le special kaofela go jwalo. But then you get gentrified, you get out of that grain, and you get in a car, and you get in a complex in the burbs, and then you think you can treat other black people like they ain't jack. That's the first problem. Your classism is unfounded, given that Nani, you had those, most of us, we don't have to be poverty stricken sihlale emkhukhwini in order to gibela amateksi. Mina mengahlale emkhukhwini mankula, kodwa amateksi was a daily occurrence for me. Daily. Do you understand? So hukingi ekana ekhozang batho abantsho ba underestimate ane ga botlhoko, so later on ukusangana khotlhang. It's just a mental illness. Like literally there's nothing else going on. Let that way, guys, let that way. And yini that ultimately break past a particular mold, ne niyaphuma out of the grain of nothingness. Latswa out of it, and then manceda nina proper udlotswa njwang go khombeng le short left le bus stop le after robot o botlonka motho o tswileng ko after robot to bus stop short left o bo mo khutlisa ko short left after robot bus stop. Yazi nimbolile nitakiwa abantu abamnyama le tawwe le tsubile matekwane le high on some supply of Satane exatseng gore grasha pele rotelang because it is singetsa cloud yalona as black people. Kaze nizothatha umuntu ophume from his short left kanjani nimbuyisele move. How you going to take somebody that finally bought their first car back to taxi uzombuyisela kanje wena? When wena self personal, you work like a dog uhlanganisa amasente wakho. Unoyitekela your first like golf. Unoyitekela your first like hot car. What's need golf, ne? That was like even insurance companies did not want to insure it the way that it used to get stolen so much. Unoyitekela your first nanana. A beetle, I get it, whatever. Okopanse se di sentence how hore o ska dro palama taxi ever again and be all that inconvenienced, having to leave places by a certain time lest the taxi should not be passing kana gwe ya busiu. You get out of that mold. Bese uyothatha umuntu umbuyisele ma taxi uqeda wena ukuthenga imoto. Like proper, you come from the same places and then you take people back. They say you want to insist on maintaining black economic empowerment. Ingathi bangayithatha, pull it from underneath your feet. I don't know what it would take for South Africa to vuga from this rubbish. Guys, I do not understand what's alang mo South Africa. You have created, like, apparently South Africa is the most unequal country in the world. Abantu mahoa are not innocent entirely in this matter. But there is a fatigue in white people because of Batobansu. And the fatigue is Dibari. Yes, guys, we understand at the beginning of the democratic government, the democratic regime, we get why there had to be employment equity laws to recalibrate some scales. But when you make an observation over 30 years of democracy, of absolutely no improvement, no growth, and all this sabotage, if anything, people are making like Michael Jackson and moonwalking backwards, you will feel disillusioned and afflicted by the prospect of continuing another 20 years, 30 years into the future with the very people that have been awarded an added advantage because of their previous disadvantage. When you see them squander that opportunity and then maintain the whole entire freaking country in a grain of unfair systems, when an entire country is maintained in a BEE state without there being any actual black economic empowerment, because black people are squandering that opportunity and also throwing each other under the bus. As a white person, you would look at that and be like, okay, so it's been 30 years. So does this mean that another 30 years is going to progress while I keep watching black people who have been given an added advantage because of where they come from literally squander national resources throwing each other under the bus, sabotaging the living creepy crap out of each other. And because every time we go back to the drawing board to check how much they've progressed, what quota or percentage of them have actually really succeeded in being awarded these opportunities, when we realize that they've just been on a flat line the whole time, it's just been this plateaued state. I feel as if though this is a moment or opportunity to rise up in civil war, because angeke siphume from the grain of our children and our children's children being subjugated to the tyranny of the mistakes of their forefathers in the apartheid regime. Like when white boys are already set at a disadvantage, that are going to be born to never mind my kids but my kids' kids, when they're set apart for a disadvantage just by mere virtue of having that for an ancestor, because black people have refused to so grow that it would now be necessary to go back to normal, where everybody has equally opportunities. There is no longer a need to be retributing anything, recalibrating anything, because people caught up. Black people caught up. Indian people caught up. Colored people caught up. And seeing as people caught up, and now we are basically where we need to be as a country, what's important is for us to now start awarding everybody equal opportunity. When are white people ever going to look forward to being given equal opportunity ever? When, guys? Because black people, you literally single-handedly are making sure that your stats are always producing such whack results, that there will continue to be a need for black economic empowerment, and you will continue to raise, let's just put that up there, the fact that you were hurt before you were scorned, you were going through trash and stuff, and it was because of white people. We get that they did that, and we get that indeed they ought have been something that recalibrates, something that recompenses. We get it. But for how long, especially when you are squandering resources, how long? I speak like that because I was not necessarily born free. I was born in 1984 at the very latter end of apartheid, but I was among the first beneficiaries of black economic empowerment. And yet look at me. I actually broke out of the grain of black people, and I became the exception to the norm. I became one of the first success stories, I guess, of this country. I did really well. I skyrocketed. I shot up. My sister was also like that. Me, my sister, many of my peers, a lot of my former friends from high school were the recipients of the new regime where black kids are now going to be given an opportunity. And we all got to grow with each other. We went through to Model C schools where we were sharing desks with white girls and black boys and Indian kids and so on and so forth. Schools where it was all races, and we grew up together, primary school, high school, went to the same universities, and all over campus we were all mixed, cracked into corporate South Africa, and in our jobs we were working with each other, and black girls were being promoted, black boys were being promoted, everybody was working, and it looked as if though there's now a future. And I got to work in a space within corporate South Africa where there were so many young black professionals doing so well, getting their masters, getting their doctorate degrees, getting promotions, being made managers, bosses. I got to work in a professional space like that as a black person, and so therefore essentially achieve a miracle in the country, what would be called a breakthrough in the sight of a holy God, where it is that we are working in corporate South Africa, and there's all these young professionals that are black, Indian, white, whatever, all sharing the same space. Here it is that my 27-year-old daughter is the boss of 3 white people, something that could never have been seen before. I got to experience that firsthand. I got to chair meetings where white people were nodding and agreeing with what I said as me being the chair of that meeting. A miracle that was once upon a time unfathomable to even envisage as a thing that could ever happen. And I was rolling like that as a young woman. I was not old, because the only time that a black person could ever get to be a leader over such big, hefty, chunky white people was if they were in and of themselves like 48, 49, 50. I was a young woman that was heading older people, some of whom were white. A miracle was achieved. It was achieved. And I wasn't the only one. I was not the only one. MTN was teaming at the folds with all of these graduate young professionals that were killing it, getting poached from the company, headhunted to go and work for Coca-Cola, for Tiger Brands, etc. in loftier capacities than what it is that they were working at MTN. Very, very stiff competitive market full of resources that were wanted, and herein lies these blacks that made a decision to go and grab their colleagues that are walking in a fulfilled miracle and said uzobuyele mateksini Karabo nonhlanhla o tlo go tlhela go go tlhapa mo sekotleleng Lerato, you're gonna go back, girl, to 4 room Uzobuyela, but you're gonna move back in with your mother. My sisters. You're gonna go back to Soweto, movela Bryanston. Bazokuhleka abantu basekasi bonke akunandaba uzobuye bathong bantu abamnyama yazini shem ke maswabila nkutla le rubbish le nonsense I ke tsebe hore like you are proper rubbish enye e hard knock e green ngekhala it's purple and pink it's got fangs inale boladu it's gushing blood. Top of that, lebo dile and halina maitseo, and I find it a travesty and an abomination that you are expecting Mahoa to take in their stride that BEE is going to continue for another 30 years when you have wasted the first 30. I apologize. You are literally gawking, staring, longingly and lovingly ingati little shapanam kale Roma. Cause Batswadi have not approved of relationship ya lona cause le Romeo and Juliet. You are going to stare longingly and lovingly into a civil uprising in this country. And the only thing that is going to raise up a civil war against your ridiculousness, black people, is in Ndaba Yoguthi. Amalungu sat back and they were like, okay, so our forefathers did you dirty, sharp, BEE. And then you went and you squandered the BEE, natata amatenda, naenzi corruption. You messed up with the electric grid and then insisted on maintaining some more corrupt black people to keep that thing not running. Nabegama potholes in the roads, and then you insisted that you're gonna patch those potholes up with more like substandard materials. You then made a decision to put yourselves in parliament. You put yourselves in the judiciary, the legislature, and the executive. And even though there's supposed to be a separation of powers, you work together to make sure no justice is fulfilled. I would know. Because what happened to me is as a result of collusion by the judiciary and the, executive of this country, making sure Ugutumuntu does not get any justice at all, such that whatever the legislature said is the law in this land could not be effected in my life. It could not be executed. I literally I am a South African citizen, not covered by the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa of 1996. I'm not covered by it because my rights did not matter. I lost everything at the hands of corrupt black folk who, in their selfishness, made a decision. I'm not gonna have a career. You literally out of jealousy in JFL. A pretty chick, you don't get to be that beautiful, that stylish, that all that jazz. You can't have it all, Karabo. So guess what? Five liter. Dream on about a full tank, sister girl. Dream on. Go great track, go comb. Ngoba you can't afford to pour a petrol in your car. Nakhona uzobuyela to selling izinto zakho just to make a quick buck because there's something else that you're trying to cover. Like proper selling a toaster so you can buy a textbook at school. Like, you know, when you're struggling that much, you then break out of it. This time around you're buying expensive shoes that cost you 2,300 rand. O reka setlhako sa 2.3 and then ka usane dieta tsa teng o lo dinyamara plastic bag o rekisa ka 200 rand ko mothong koko some women o reselang diaparo. Because that's what happened with me. I took a whole bunch of some of my most expensive clothes and I put my clothes in the plastic bag, the black, the refuse bags, that's a black. They filled out 3 black refuse bags full of clothes and I sold them on Gumtree to a woman who bought all of them for 500 rands a bag. So I got 1,500 rands for the aparo that easily could have cost over the years that I bought them 35 to 50,000 rands. I sold them for 1,500 rands so I could buy food. So my expensive freaking trench coat from Joe Borkett and caused me to sell it just to eat bread. Because on the day when I was buying my trench coat from Joe Borkett, you could not stand that I was buying my trench coat from Joe Borkett. You could not stand that I was filling my closet up with designer clothes. You could not stand that. So you told yourself that the day's gonna come when you're gonna struggle to eat so badly that you're gonna sell impahla zakho. I literally went through that. But because I'm pretty, and because over and above being pretty, in my prettiness, I'm glowing. You then have the brazen audacity to not what is the word that I'm looking for? God showed me that some people that listen to my testimony staring. I'm not speaking about those that have been with me from the beginning, because people who have been with me from the beginning know I'm not lying. But those people that are listening to me just day before yesterday, relax, so you should be high. Garfield, relax in that high state, sit around like a catatonic zombie, and recognize ukuthi nawe noma ungatlapwa inhlupheko enye yaseKalahari desert akuzobonakala sisters for as long as you've got all this melanin in your skin. Nyazi ukuthi abantu abamnyama akubonakali noma basutlehile ke Kalahari desert type dry lands. re ba pila re bantle gole mzima. So ke eng e kana even though la bona hore grand shop ke dula mo mokhukhu se ke la bona ka ntlu e normal e feletseng ka ofela ya window e nang le that blind ko morago go dlie hore I'm living in an environment e sa etseng sense. Mara it doesn't matter the environment that I come in because lona le shabana le background e ke beileng and le shabana le motho wa teng o leng mopila o beileng ke re le makeup ya ko CapCut application in parilega makeup. Leshebile all that. And then you have the brazen audacity despite nna ke le jwetsa nnete ngiringi var. I'm telling you, I'm coming to you ngintela iqiniso. Ukuthi this is my life. Bese you have the brazen audacity from what God showed me to think ukuthi mina ngikhuluma mang. The Lord showed me that some people think I'm lying about my testimony. But ke tlo benefita eng. Lena no re ke batlang nna out of this. To tell so many fibs in the name of Jesus. Ke tlo ti condemn nje fela mahal. Abantu abamnyama mabasutlegile. Sometimes looking at they have $1 million in their bank accounts, you understand? That's just the nature of letlalo la rona. Leta ba re tseba go dila ka sotlego. So jaka leng phigisa gakan. Why under heaven lesati shebe ka taba re lena le mona so much over ama colleague eno some of you that you have gone on right ahead and you sabotage zinjandin ikamba zabo ka ditlhare. Colleague ya gago e mopile o tswang from a hardship o side tsebeng cause ha bui ka yona. O bo motumpa ngwana ba tshwara a balatlhegelwa ke career. Abalatlhegelwa ke mosebetsi next thing tshwantse a lo downgrade tshwantse a lo kenya finisher gagwe go storaging le teng ha tsebe o o kry ka tšhelete ya nonza patala storage tsa teng every single month abalo dula leng kgonwa hae motho ke mo o dula leng kgonwa hae mara sentse na ana le high cheekbones every so often it's a face beat because I mean really tshwantse a ye di interview ngoro lo kra mmereko montsha motho a ntsa dula ko ntlunya kgonwa hae ha a ya ko ntlunya hae ka ha batla o etsa video like video call interview remotely cause batho wa ko Cape Town yena o mo Johannesburg tshwantse a lo beya sheet ya mpeto ko morago because hona le that mess ya ko ntlunyang khona ko morago and she doesn't want that being seen. And so when I open a sheet e grey you think ukuthi lo muntu futhi una le brazen audacity go ba le green screen mo background abare go tlhopegile motho o bile sheet jo because ha sa be sheet ja ka nna latella guys le nna ke bele di sheet mo morago ke filang kare ke tshwantse ke tlose sheet e one gore le tlo bona gore ke dula mo situationing e jwang so that you can stop underestimating me ke na batho ha re tloseng setup that's what you don't see in the background ke beile green screen or a tantamount something e tlo concealang tlhophego so o se ka tlo borwa ke makeup e ke ya parang ke ka CapCut le taba hore ke azama every so often go lo apala ya sunscreen anare ke tla titlogelang why would I let myself go. The very bottom of the line is this ditweba tsa batho ba bantsho ke sotlegile and I'm trying to get out of this mara ke dula ko ntlunyang khono or back of my mom's house mo mokhukhu and if at all I'm gonna get taken seriously batho wait guys I've got ke na le ditori ho le tlotlela ne let's move to the next part so you can like cause I've already been speaking for 1 hour 11 minutes are next part ke lo le jwetsa o re ke tswa kae